got in a car, and started heading over to the Crossroads mall, but he wasn't there to shop. Victor was hunting for rival gang members, cornbreads and CK all day, before reaching from under his shirt and pulling out a handgun. Victor fired multiple shots at the GBC member. As the GBC member bolted through the crowd, Victor pursued him relentlessly, gun in hand, and Victor squeezed the trigger again and again, emptying his clip as he chased his rival through the chaos. Victor was completely unfazed by the terrified screams around him. Welcome back to Hood 187. In today's video, we're diving into the explosive story of LA. Victor Bustillo, also known as LA, was a kid who grew up fast. By the age of 9, he was already running with the Southside Locos, the biggest and most dangerous Hispanic gang in Oklahoma City. The Locos had started back in the 1970s as a branch of a California Sureños gang and quickly grew to rule the south side of OKC.
Bro, I did not know Oklahoma was cracking like this, for what's going on, gang? I swear to God, I know. I thought y'all was out there cow tipping. For the grade, I thought y'all was out there with barns. For them churning corn and butter and shit.
Their biggest rivals, Grande Barrio Central 23, had been around since the 1980s, and the war between the two has been ongoing for over 2 decades, with no signs of slowing down. And by the time Victor was 10, he had already learned how to break into cars, rob people, and even fire a gun. He wasn't just a kid anymore, he was turning into a menace. Victor would even go out of his way just to find his rivals from GB Central, and it was rumored that he had shot at multiple members of their gang.
Damn,
if you saw Victor on the streets, you knew trouble was around. Victor always carried a gun and wasn't scared to use it, no matter who was around.
And I mean, a lot of people knew who he was, you know what I mean? And he had a lot of guns, and he was always putting in work on Centrals. He just did not like them.
But Victor's reputation...
He just did not like them. He was always putting in work on them. And he was 10 years old. What's wrong with you, bro? They need to make one of them scary movies about you, bro. You tweaking. When I was 10, I'm over here playing with toys and shit, folks. Somebody gotta help this little boy.
Patient wasn't built by chance. He learned everything from J-Rock, an older gang member who had moved to Oklahoma City from Los Angeles. J-Rock taught Victor and the other Southside Locos how to gangbang and politic correctly.
That's mainly what they want to do, is they want to take out all the GBCs, and GBCs want to take out all the Southside. We'd probably kill them all if we could.
And Victor picked up the lessons fast. It was rumored that he stole guns all over the Southside, supplying them to other Locos to use on the Barrio Centrals. Even the older members of the gang trusted Victor when it came to firepower. By the time he was 15, Victor's name was known across the city, but not in a good way. Gang intervention specialist Israel Morales described Victor as someone who didn't care if he lived or died as long as it was for the Locos. Victor was dangerous.
That's how they be, boy. That's how they be, boy. Them niggas be, boy. They be 50, 60 something years old. Still gangbangers, still talking about on the hood. Like, boy.
He'd do anything for the gang. Victor had a short temper and no fear. If he caught rivals marking up local territory with graffiti, he'd chase them down himself, no matter how outnumbered he was. But Victor's recklessness eventually caught up with him. On May 27th, 2006, his temper and dangerous ways finally led to consequences he couldn't outrun. Victor, Sleepy, and a few other Southside Locos got in a car and started heading over to the Crossroads mall, but he wasn't there to shop. Victor was hunting for rival gang members, and the mall, a popular GBC hangout.
Do your homework on he 15 years old and he at the mall. He came to the mall to shop for Opps. He Opps shopping.
Was the perfect spot to find them. It didn't take long before they spotted a GBC member. Victor would start yelling derogatory terms at the GBC member, shouting, "Cornbreads and CK all day," before reaching from under his shirt and pulling out a handgun. Victor fired multiple shots at the GBC member. The gunfire echoing through the mall caused shoppers to panic, scrambling for cover behind trash cans, clothing racks, and anything they could find to shield themselves from the chaos. But Victor wasn't done. As the GBC member bolted through the crowd, Victor pursued him relentlessly, gun in hand, and Victor squeezed the trigger again and again, emptying his clip as he chased his rival through the chaos. Victor was completely unfazed by the terrified screams around him, but his shots hit their target, wounding the GBC member as he tried to get away. But Victor didn't see what was coming next. 3 police officers on the floor above had heard the gunfire and were already rushing down to stop him. As the officers closed in, they would tell Victor to drop his weapon, but Victor didn't listen.
And I seen Victor all the way across the hall, you know what I'm saying, with a big old hole in his head, with my homeboy just holding that in his arm.
I want to put y'all on to some of the easiest money you'll ever make in your life. Freecash.com is a website that allows you to literally get paid hundreds of dollars just for playing video games on your phone. All you need is an email and a password. Follow the directions on each of the campaigns and you can earn at least $100. My personal favorite game to play was Sunrise Island, and when I clicked on it, they had a $370 bonus. I got $370 just for playing a video game on my phone. On average, it only takes about 17 minutes for most people to start earning money on freecash.com. So if you need some free, easy, extra money, go to freecash.com, click the QR code right here, or go in the description below and start getting that bag. You did?
It's cracking like this in Oklahoma City, gang. I ain't never heard. Why ain't nobody tell me? Y'all ain't never told me nothing about OKC, gang. We talk about everything else, bro. Nobody has ever let Mago know nothing about Oklahoma, shorty. Why didn't y'all tell me it was cracking like this? If somebody told me it was somebody came to the mall looking for a op and popped them in the middle of the mall, I would have said Chicago, Baltimore, DC, Houston, Dallas, Philly, LA. You hear me? OKC probably would have been one of the last on the list, folks. Like, this is blowing my mind.
Arms, you know what I'm
Y'all know
saying?
about this?
And he just died.
Victor's homeboy Sleepy was his right-hand man, but when Victor died, Sleepy had started to reflect on all the life decisions he had made. Killing the Centrals started to feel pointless. The endless cycle of violence began to weigh on Sleepy. Eventually, Sleepy made a choice. He left the streets behind and decided to change his life. He enrolled in college, hoping education could give him the chance to break free from the life he'd known. Sleepy's goal was simple: to make something of himself and to find a purpose in life outside of gangbanging. Sleepy would go on to join the Oklahoma Police Department, hoping for a better change. But the Southside Locos didn't like this at all.
Oh, they called him a rat. It's more to the story. I'm thinking they finna be done, fool. I'm thinking they finna be like, yeah, he changed his life and...
They saw Sleepy as a rat and a disgrace to Victor's legacy. Some gang members, like Sleepy, turned their lives around, but others still stayed in the game. They tried to get jobs in the OKC jails to sneak in weapons and drugs. If successful, this could help gang members attack rivals and smuggle in weapons and drugs. However, law enforcement and officials worked hard to stop it. They would even fire people over their past gang affiliations to keep things under control.
Yeah, Jolene, well, this all comes at a time when the jail is already having a hard time recruiting new jail officers, and Oklahoma County jail leaders say now they've got another challenge to deal with: gang members applying to be jail officers to help commit crimes inside the jail.
I ain't heard that one. It's a lot of first timers in this video right here, folks. I have not heard that one. They got the gangsters signing up to be jail guards so they can help the other gangsters in the jail unalive their homies, unalive their enemies. That's crazy to me, folks.
At least 3 applicants would have otherwise passed a background check if not for the jail's partnerships with outside law enforcement agencies. She also told me since forming those partnerships last year, the jail has fired multiple detention officers who'd worked there from a few months to several years because law enforcement uncovered they had gang connections.
But even with rats like Sleepy in the Oklahoma Police Department, they couldn't slow down the Southside Locos. They kept applying more pressure on the Centrals, sending younger members to handle the dirty work, with one young teen even running up to a GBC and shooting him in broad daylight. But as the Southside Locos grew, the Warritos started beefing with them. The tension between the two gangs kept building until things exploded in June 2012 at the Oklahoma County Jail. Donald, a member of the Southside Locos, got caught up in a fight with the Warritos. Christopher, a member of the Warrito Street Gang, was in jail.
Some tell me he not playing around. He's not messing around. The more you fuck around with him, the more you gonna find out. It don't look like he playing no games.
For a racketeering case tied to the Warrito gang's illegal activities. Christopher and some other Warrito gang members attacked Donald. It was later revealed that Donald had been a witness in the case against them, and the Warritos didn't want him talking. In April 2012, police arrested 13 people from the Warrito gang for racketeering charges, but with Donald still a witness, they had to get rid of him. The Warritos would corner Donald and begin to push on him, knocking him to the ground, and started jumping him, kicking Donald in the face, stomach, and his ribs, causing him serious injuries. The whole thing was caught on camera, but the jail treated it like a minor situation. A couple of days later, things got even more intense. Word spread about the beating, and the Southside Locos were furious. One of the Juarito gang members, Limpy, was locked up in the Lawton Correctional Facility. Limpy was already serving life for the 2005 murder of a Southside Loco in Spencer, with the Southside Locos planning their revenge from behind bars. They hit up Limpy, attacking him twice in the face, twice in the wrist, and once in the chest. Limpy was rushed to the hospital, but he didn't survive. Limpy's death led to a huge investigation and caused bloodshed on both sides. But the police are still looking into the war between the two gangs and what went on in the jail. But while on the street, the Southside Locos gang was secretly running a huge drug business from behind bars. They were using cell phones that were smuggled into prisons to talk to people outside and plan their dealings. They would have connections in Mexico and would order shipments to Oklahoma City. And with this drug money, they would buy more weapons and more drugs.
Oklahoma City.
And would order shipments.
Oh, okay. So I see. I guess I see. I was gonna say it's Mexicans in Oklahoma, but it's right above Texas though. So I guess it's not that far. It's not. It's kind of natural that all the Mexicans will be in this area right here. So it's really everywhere. It's really where all the Mexicans be at. Cali. There's like Arizona. There's all this little shit over here.
Shipments to Oklahoma City, and with this drug money, they would buy more weapons and more drugs to fund hits on rival gang members.
Wiretaps confirmed prisoners coordinated drug shipments from Mexico while behind prison walls. Law enforcement also seized 200 pounds of drugs, 69 guns, and $300,000 in cash. 35-year-old Eduardo Rosales was sentenced in December and is considered a kingpin of the Southside Locos.
Through their drug operations, the Southside Locos would build a strong bond with black gangs in OKC. This is because most of the Mexican gangs are on the South Side, so they would team up with the Southside black gangs to move drugs all over Oklahoma City. Over the past decade, Mexican gangs have started letting a few black members join their ranks, including Barrio Central 23. Back in the early days of the Southside Locos, black members weren't allowed at all.
Y'all know Mexicans and black, we like cousins. Y'all, they really just black people that speak Spanish, but that's a whole nother story, folks.
I was even told by a member that things were so strict with the politics that Mexicans weren't allowed to wear gold chains because it was seen as a black thing. But now, with money as the main focus and racial divisions no longer holding weight in Oklahoma, gangs are made up of all races. Thanks for watching another episode of Hood 187.
That was just crazy. The kid was loco. The kid was loco, homie.